are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
We are officially recording.
Hey, we are. A little red light is on. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast on human content. We are happy to join you guys again. I am here with my wonderful host, Ms. Wonko. Hello, Ms. Wonko. How are you?
Hello. I feel, I'm feeling okay. I had one of my most favorite dinners of all time tonight.
Oh, what do we have? One of your most favorite dinners?
Tomato soup with noodles.
Tomato soup with noodles. Okay.
Oh man, I mean, nothing says loving like a bowl of tomato soup with noodles. Tomato soup, Campbell's, but made with milk.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you from your face, you just threw up. So
no, not at all. I'm not a huge tomato soup person. I like it, but it's one of those things I have to be like, I'm kind of in the mood for it. That's kind of my thing.
I was
in the mood for some good old Velveeta shells and cheese. That's what I wanted. I wanted Velveeta mac and cheese, which they only had like the mini shells at the store. And I was like, I'm not getting that. So I got like the generic brand. It was still good.
Oh, it's not the same. You got to eat it with a spoon.
Eat what with a spoon?
Like little shells, big spoon.
Oh, I know, but it was like the really, really tiny ones. It was like, I made it once and I was like, I didn't really like it.
You could be a giant. I'm a giant.
I eat tiny food if you're like giant. It's good stuff. So yeah, it still feels, I'm hopefully, I did have a nice pink shirt on today, which I changed into a sweatshirt.
So disappointing.
Yeah,
it was a great color for you. You were
I was
radiant.
appreciative of that. I was radiant.
You were radiant.
I felt it. I'm radiating spring after the fact that it was so. I have two measurements of if it's too cold out. Okay, number one is in New York during the recent cold stretch. They had 5 days where there were no shootings. No one got shot in New York for 5 days. Which is amazing. It was so cold.
It's not funny.
And you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
It was too cold to shoot anybody.
It was literally too cold for anyone to commit crime. I know
because
I'm saying that
it was. No, I mean,
cold.
it's true. It was so cold
that
you just like, I can't feel my face when I'm with you.
Yes.
It was like you could not you were just like running to the car and just couldn't. Oh my gosh. I mean, it was.
And the second thing that is a measurement of it's just too cold is when Bizon wears closed-toed shoes, because my girl, who I know she's listening, always wears flippity floppities. The toes are always done. There's some people are like, oh my God, I want to show my feet. And she's like, I'm wearing flip flops. I'm wearing sandals. I'm wearing everything. I want my toes in the water, ass in the sand.
That's right.
The whole thing. So that's my measurement.
If she's got closed-toed shoes on, it's cold.
It's too cold.
It's true.
I just always say, like, why do I live in a place where the air hurts my face?
Though, it is a beautiful state. I do remind, let's give a little love to the GS here. But I do tell the kids, there are very few states in this great country of ours that you can ski if you so choose, that we have beautiful lakes, we have farms, we have gorgeous beaches and ocean, ocean for miles, beautiful sandy beaches. So, we've got a corn aplenty, right? But yes, it is.
Pizza and bagels are next level.
You can't compete. You can't compete.
I have a good friend of mine who lives out in Indianapolis. He's been my best friend since kindergarten. And I go out there every year and I'm like, hey, you guys need me to bring anything? I said, yes, I'm bringing bagels. So I have to bring a bag, just everything bagels, a bag of everything bagels.
That's right.
It doesn't matter which bagel shop it's from, but it has to be like from a bagel shop in New Jersey, not a supermarket. You got to go to a bagel shop,
of course,
and get a baker's dozen of bagels, and I wrap them and I put them in things, and then you got to like double wrap the bag or your whole car smells like everything bagels. Great story. One of the first times he traveled home from college, he flew back to Indianapolis to go back to college. And in his carry-on, he took a bag of everything bagels. And his entire carry-on smelled like everything
forever.
Bagels.
It's like, new bag, get a new bag.
Oh, Joey, you dummy.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God. Great story.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very chilly, but I think that, we're getting I'm going to say we're getting out of it. Probably not. We'll probably be back into it. But it
Well,
was
it's Groundhog
next level.
Day. It's Groundhog Day on Sunday, right? It's February 2nd. Is it February 2nd Groundhog Day?
Okay, a little shout out here to one of our viewers, faithful friend of the pod, and
Yeah. I know where we're going with this.
her so in New Jersey there. So of course everybody knows Puxatawny Phil, right?
Yeah.
Puxatawny Phil is that famous guy from PA, but we're in the NJ. So
Also highlighted in a phenomenal movie, Groundhog Day, with Bill Murray. Excellent movie.
So good.
Yes.
And so there is a town in New Jersey. There might be more than one. I don't know. I've never heard of them. Only one, where they have a groundhog, a beloved groundhog, it's like Milltown, Millstone Phil or something. And so our good friend of the pod, her sister, it won't have to take a day off of work this year because it's on a Sunday, but she takes the day off of work to fully and truly appreciate the groundhog.
Oh my goodness! I just googled something. This just in. So apparently, for the 5th year in a row, Milltown, New Jersey, is canceling their Groundhog Day celebration because they can't get a groundhog.
I think that there was like a stuffed groundhog in a box or something. No. She still celebrates it. Like someone has a little event in their house and they go and they do it.
God.
Maybe it's underground secret.
The problem started in 2021 when Milltown Mel died. Wranglers found a replacement in Tennessee. Wranglers found a replacement in Tennessee and brought it to town to assume the important role, but they had to surrender the replacement groundhog to state officials thanks to a state law that bans importing animals who have the potential to carry rabies.
I've had a groundhog in my backyard for the last 2 years. We've given up trying to catch it. It just lays on a rock and suns itself, taunting us each morning. Perhaps I can try one more time and deliver him to Milltown.
Well, if you are still in need of your Groundhog Day fix in Essex County at the Turtleback Zoo, you can watch Edwina the groundhog make her weather prediction for this year. I was just listening to you give this entire huge story about Milltown and Milltown Mel and the groundhog. And for 5 years, it's been canceled.
Yes, but it's not canceled in her heart. It's not canceled for her.
What is happening?
She still participates.
I have a good friend of mine who also lives in Milltown, and it's a great town. It really is. It's a wonderful little town in New Jersey.
So, it's so cute. But
great little community.
Do they get invited to? Because I've been invited.
I have not been invited. I also don't get invited to Mom's Pool Day. It's a thing. So.
Keyword moms, but yeah.
So I started messing around a couple of years ago when they had Mom's Pool Day, and I'd be like, "Oh, I should go to Mom's Pool Day. I should show up at Mom's Pool Day." So every year, this viewer Robin, who posts a picture, is like, and she writes the most wonderful things about people. We've talked about Robin before about how she should give lessons on empathy towards others because she really is just a gentle soul and a kind heart, and also hysterical. So she posts this picture every year, like, "Hey, Mom's Pool Day, IMS, everybody made it." So I of course, take the picture and then I crop myself in the photo in some way where I'm like standing in the corner or I'm over someone's shoulder. And then I always text the whole group and be like, "Hey, had such a fun time today."
I mean, they're a very inclusive group.
I am such a dipshit.
Very
God.
But yeah, so it's Groundhog Day. It's coming. And of course, I was just telling one of the younger gentlemen that we work with recently about Groundhog Day. And I always have this paper that I do just like a little piece of information for the kids and, the history of Groundhog Day and how it was called Candlemas. If Candlemas be, fair and light and winter takes another flight. And really, it's just the actual 6-week midpoint between the first day of winter and the first day of spring. So it's,
Correct.
It's the exact midpoint. And he was like, "What?" Like so confused. And I was like, this is silly, but also don't we all know like this little apparently know this little tidbit about Groundhog Day? So yeah, so I feel like we're halfway, we're getting there. We're almost halfway through the school year. Unbelievable. And and it's all we've been clicking up the coaster and we're just, it's gonna be we're gonna be swinging into warmer weather.
Yeah, I don't know if I think you were about to say smooth sailing, which would have been like, no, it's more like a white knuckle ride.
Sailing sailing takes me away.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh my gosh, come
Yeah,
on.
it's good stuff. So I really look forward to March 1st because that's the beginning of meteorological spring.
Is that because of your B-Day?
No, it really is because of meteorological spring. Like they start measuring like meteorological winter is over as of the end of February. So they start measuring like rainfall and stuff like that from March 1st to May 31st. And then June 1st starts meteorological summer. So that's what I like to
Nerds, 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 nerds.
Well, I think we found our soundbite for this clip. Uh
Meteorological.
So you also are doing a let's talk about your Valentine's Day project because this episode is going to be coming out right before Valentine's Day. So I know you're doing a Valentine's Day project, which I think is very adorable. But I'm going to talk to our listeners and give the brief story about how Mrs. Wonko became Leslie Knope from
Oh my goodness! I mean,
Parks
bring
and
me
Rec
a waffle, and
that exact moment.
Yeah. I get these moments of time where I'm just filled with pure hope for all good things. And of course, I try to we actually I think there's, people in school that are like this, and we have a boss that is really super like try new things and try new things and try new things. And we've talked about before, I do like to try new things in my classroom. I also really do enjoy things that I know work, right? Because you just are like, wow, this is the gold standard.
Absolutely.
I know it's going to go. So I really liked my Black History Month project last year. You probably remember it was born from the idea of the children like whisper talking to each
other. I if you weren't doing that, I want to do it. But if you're doing it, like that's fine. But I thought it was a great idea.
Thank you. So I was like, I can see you guys whispering. So I called it the Tell Me Project, and I had them research 3 people. I told them about 3 people. I wanted them to research 3 people for Black History Month. And then they had to tell 3 adults and 3 children for each of the 3 people, and then have the person sign that they told them. I don't want you to read it. I want you to just conversationally talk about this person that you have information about. And it can be anybody that you choose. So I'm going to do the Tell Me Project again, which is a repeat project from last year. So I thought, you know what, let me do something different for the month of February. So I do, I know that SEL, social emotional learning, has become, in our school district, there was a big push for it for quite a long time. And I think most, good teachers just incorporate it into everything they do.
I agree.
That they do anyway, but it had become like very formalized. And now our school district took it from the teachers, and now it's just in gym. And so the description that I get like for my own kids is like, I don't know, sometimes we don't play gym. We just fill out a booklet, like a workbook.
And I don't want to comment on where it is or what the district policy is. However, at the middle school level, the one place where they get to blow off some steam, run around, release some endorphins, laugh, play a game is in gym.
They got to be running.
What, let me say it. What the hell are we doing? I'll do it in social studies. Give it to me. I'll do it. Let them run around in gym. I would rather them run around in gym and play a game and have a good time, to have them a little bit of a release. I mean, come on, adults, think about it. Some of you people work in offices, or those of us that are teachers that are listening, we get to a professional period and you're like, nope, I'm going to sit and scroll on my phone, or I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to go walk on a treadmill, or go for a walk outside, or run an errand real quick.
Can I just say what one of the 8th graders said to me?
It's just so missing funny. The mark. And as I know you want to jump in here, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can literally see me getting angry. It's like,
I know this is not my vibe. Wait, come here. Come back. Ready?
No, I'm here. I'm good.
Okay. I need
some SEL in gym class. All right.
We have another initiative in our school that's called Movement Monday.
Yes.
To encourage movement. So yes, they need to go to the gym and they need to run around. And so the kids, some are really, some are fine with it. And then, of course, like anything else, they're like, oh, no, I can't, and they get like glued to their chair, embarrassed. And I get like different environments. You're in your classroom, whatever. So I was like, it's not a big deal. We're going to do a little bit of yoga. Come on. They say sitting is the new smoking. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the 8th graders is like, I'd rather smoke. I'm like, no.
I'm sorry, but whoever that kid is, I want to be their best friend, because that is comedy gold right there. That is literally comedy gold. I probably would have vomited from laughing so hard.
I was like, no, and no. Oh, but it was so funny the way she said it, and just like, nope.
That
is
so
like people
hysterical.
in offices, we got to get up, we got to move. But yes, so I do try to do some SEL as best as I can. So for February, I found this really cute little mug, and it says like mug of love, and then you have these little hearts, and you have to write almost like as if they were marshmallows, and you're just drinking like a delicious cup of cocoa of love, and then you fill the hearts on top of the little paper mug, and you say what fills your like just what fills you.
Great,
And
adorable, love it.
So cute. So I'm like, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna buy lunch bags on Amazon, and we are going to I'm gonna staple like all the mugs to the front of the lunch bags, and then I'm gonna make more of the little hearts, and I'm gonna let them write messages of encouragement to other kids. So I have about 100 kids, and everybody's going to be able to and I'm like, oh my gosh, isn't this so cute? And what a great idea. And Mr. Vitale.
So she immediately became Leslie Knope in that moment, where she was talking, it's going to be so great. It's going to bring community together. Everything's going to be amazing. And then I just snapped to her standing at the board in front of a group of students. And I have my eyes closed as I'm telling you the story. Standing at the board in front of a group of students, where she reaches into the bag and she pulls out one of the hearts. She goes, oh, let's see what somebody says about someone. Oh, buttholes. Why did somebody write buttholes on this piece of it? Like, it's middle school kids. I also know that they probably will not do that.
They might.
Right? But they might put in there like, oh, you're such a skibbity toilet Ohio Rizzler, which apparently is a compliment, I guess.
Of course it is.
Yeah, on God, bruh. So it is. There's another clip for the episode. It's all over the place.
Wait, and I have all these closets, and the closets are wood, so you can't see into the closets. And so I had to make signs, because people would come in and be like, Cabarro, some color pencils. So I had the label, right? So it was like, you got any books in here? So I have like one that says all the books, and then one that says like Mrs. Wanko's personal cabinet, which now is going to have to include like that means don't touch it. I don't know where we don't know that personal means like don't go in there, but whatever. So of course my art closet, someone wrote F above the art.
I also want to be that kid's best friend.
When I first discovered it, I was like, and laughed. And I don't know if it was one of my kids, or I share my classroom, or another, but they were like, oh my gosh, you're laughing. And I was like, I'm laughing. I'm not taking it down. I mean, the closet says fart. That is so funny. It's not funny to deface other people's property.
It is not. But if you got something when the door opened that it made a fart noise, that would just be the best thing ever. Challenge accepted. So anyway, now that we've bantered on and about
there's a lot of happenings.
There's a lot of happenings. Yeah. It's a big deal. So one of the things that's happened in the last few weeks is our governor, Phil Murphy, during the most recent State of the State address, talked about a lot of things. But one of the things he mentioned was having a more supportive environment. I want to make sure I get the wording correctly, for schools to create policy that's going to limit cell phone use during the school day. And I think that's an important conversation for us to start having. We could probably talk for the next couple of episodes about this.
What does limit use during the school
Well,
day
that's
mean?
what I want to. I want to kind of
very wide open for interpretation.
It's very wide open for interpretation. I'm going to try and find some more specifics on the exact wording of what he said in the speech.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of school districts already have cell phone policies, but like, are they enforced? That I mean, honestly,
I mean, my
So
husband's school district, it's very strictly enforced. It is, something that is on the very top of their priority list. My kids, it would be like a yes, but then also a no. I think it depends on age level also, but my girls just like they leave them in their lockers. They would
yes.
never think of taking them with them. So, I would imagine that it would be impossible to have parents agree not to send their children to school without the phone.
Yeah, that would be impossible.
It just impossible. I
So
was trying to say today, like, it would make me so happy, if we had no water bottles, and all your water bottles stayed in your locker with your phones, and that seemed like the most outrageous idea that they had ever heard, um, you know, but I don't know. I mean,
so
as a
not
parent, I want my kids to have my phone, I'll tell you. Not in the classroom, but I like that they have it in their backpacks, I will say.
yeah.
Yeah.
So New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy calling for a statewide ban on cell phone use in public schools for students in grades K through 12. If a kindergartner has a phone, it's a bigger problem. They're fueling a rise in cyberbullying, and they're making it incredibly difficult for our kids not only to learn, but to retain substance of what they learn. Honestly, is it any surprise that the rise in smartphone usage has coincided with a growing youth mental health crisis?
Hmm.
Murphy said. He doesn't give any facts or figures.
We were supposed to read that book, remember?
Yeah, we
We've
were.
gotta do that.
Yeah, we
That's
do.
on the list.
That
Putting
is
it on the list.
that is on the list.
That is on the list.
He says he will no longer sit back and watch kids suffer. But here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I think this is honestly a great idea. There's been some locally in our local school district, there was a board member that asked, "Hey, parents, what would you think about the district banning the use of cell phones during the school day?"
That's right.
And a lot of parents and teachers um, commented on that thread, and most of it was yes, absolutely, from parents and from teachers. There were some parents that are also teachers, so that's which is exactly where we are.
Yeah.
So it becomes a very difficult thing to it becomes a very difficult thing for us to separate being a teacher and being a parent. It's a challenge for me literally every day. When something happens in my kids' classroom and they come home and they talk about it, I try to react as a parent, not as a teacher, in front of them. And then sometimes I might go behind closed doors, like, what exactly was that teacher thinking? Like, try to put myself in their shoes.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think there's a specific statewide policy. Okay. But Indiana, Ohio, South Carolina, Louisiana is becoming a national issue. The U.S. Department of Education called on every state, school, and district on Tuesday to adopt policies on cell phone use in schools. I don't think that schools
What are
don't
they
have.
doing with the phones? Like, all
Listen,
day long? They're on
I,
them? What's
I,
happening?
I so yeah, there are some districts that started to um, institute the Yonder pouches. Have you heard about the
Mhm.
Yonder pouches? Do you know what those are?
Absolutely, and so you put your phone in it, it locks, and then at the end of the day, it unlocks.
Yeah. So there are some musical artists. I don't remember exactly where it started. There are some musical artists as well as comedians who basically were like, "Look, put the phones down, enjoy the experience, be here, enjoy the moment." It
Mhm.
is someone's intellectual property as well, right? Some
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
like some artists, don't care. They want people to post on social media and get the notoriety out there. But there is a sense of like being in the moment at the time, doing that particular thing with all those people. Like there's a sense of community and togetherness, like at a concert or at a comedy show, where
Mm.
you're literally viewing someone else's art, right? So they want people to be present and be in the moment and not be like on their phones looking at stuff or recording and then looking at the stage through the recording. Like it's a challenge.
Yes.
But now that's been adapted in schools. It's cost prohibitive. It's not cheap.
No, it's
Um,
expensive, it is. I'm wondering, if how much of a majority, I would imagine this is like at the very earliest, like a 4th grade problem through, high school. I would think it would probably reach like its peak, in high school. And those, so between grades 9 through 12. I'm curious also as far as college is concerned,
Yeah.
how much of that is happening in colleges. The thing that I don't necessarily, always understand with phones, or something that does bother me, and it's a very like Fahrenheit 451 situation, are the AirPods. And I know that, in the last couple of years, they've become, so wildly popular, and they were expensive. And now people, it's Christmas and birthdays, and everybody has them, right? And they're, tucked into their tiny ears, and they don't even know sometimes that, that there's a world going on around them, because they're so stuck in this, whatever it is that they're doing. Is it different? I mean, you or I in high school never would have sat at our desk with our Walkman. We had the capability of doing that. Would anyone
Mhm.
have ever done that?
I don't think so.
Mm,
Maybe the most musically inclined introverted kid.
I mean,
I don't mean
right?
it in
Yeah.
any negative way.
But I can't recall anyone ever having something like that, in a classroom. Like, so it was a 0%, right? It wasn't happening. So now we have kids that have devices, and on top of the devices, there's another level of, now you have another device, right? So you have two. And then sometimes there's something happening in the front of the room on a screen. And then you're on your own computer, and then you're also on your own phone, with it in your ears. So there was a really great, I know you show CNN 10 sometimes to your classes. So there was a really great um, clip, or segment rather, last week about just exactly how distracted we have all become, and how multitasking is essentially just wrecking our brains,
Mhm.
and what it's doing to us, and how draining it is.
Yeah.
And I've really been trying to be more conscious of that. I think, as it struck me more as a teacher than anything else,
Yeah.
because we are
There
the very definition of multitaskers. I mean, are you ever just are
No,
you
it's
ever
you know
doing
what?
one thing?
You know what? It's interesting that you brought this up.
Yeah.
2 things. I just wanna pop back to the Yonder conversation.
Okay.
What the Yonder pouch is it's a pouch that a student is assigned.
Yes.
They put their phone in the pouch. It gets locked via a magnetic
Yes.
thing, kinda like those, the s you know, the sensors on the clothing, right? It's got like a
Mhm.
little pin that
I think we
locks.
did a full I think we did a whole episode on Yonder pouches last year. Wasn't it Linden?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there was
we
all sorts of parent backlash, and
yes,
there were
yes.
issues that were surrounding it, and then kids go to, like, stations that are by the door at the end of the day, they tap it, and then they're out, and they're
Right.
gone,
Right.
okay? So, of course, students that have medical needs, if they have to get blood glucose and stuff like that, but, you know, even when, like, there are certain things that are not enforceable, like,
Mhm.
if you confiscate a kid's phone, they get the phone back at the end of the day. Like,
Right.
why is a parent after 2 times, 3 times not required to come get their device?
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know what the district stance is. I don't know what other districts do. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like, in general, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem unreasonable if you're trying to change behavior, right?
Right.
That's number 1. Number 2, you talked about the multitasking aspect. So I had this thing that I was doing about the executive branch, a little video about the president's plane, because the kids were interested on, like, presidential perks. We were talking about the White House and the Secret Service and his
Air Force
limousine,
One.
Air Force One, and then the limousine. I was like, oh, there's actually a good documentary about, I said documentary, and everybody's like, I was like, no, 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 wait. I was like,
And
this
I
is,
was like, "Woohoo!"
this is actually interesting. I've actually watched it with my wife in the room. And not, I don't know if I actually watched that one, but
And
like
she was like, "Achoo!"
she, she's my barometer. Like, if she stays awake, it's normally interesting because she doesn't really like some of the same history stuff that I do.
Yeah.
But like, it's interesting. So I gave them like this little thing to follow along, like multiple choice questions, just a couple. And
What
then
is
like,
it? What's it called? I wanna watch it.
it was the Flying Fortress, Air Force One Flying Fortress. It basically was the update of the, was supposed to be updated by now, but due to the pandemic and Boeing shutdown, Pentagon security issues, all sorts of stuff. The first flight of the new Air Force One is delayed to 2026.
Oh,
But anyway,
okay.
they were redesigning the color scheme. because it's a tool for legislation, right? So anyway, I give them this little video. It's got 10 questions on it and a question at the end. And one girl at one point was like, I'm missing parts of the video because I'm like trying to answer the questions and blah, blah. I was like, I stopped the video. I said, is this too difficult for some of you? And I said, and they kind of looked at me. I said, I don't mean that in a rude way. Like, is this too difficult for you? Like, I meant that as like, if you're struggling with that, then let's forget about the multiple choice questions. Like, I know you're all paying attention. I'd rather us discuss the last question, right? Why do you think it's important? And how does it allow the president to administer policy, right? Because we talked about foreign policy and domestic policy. Like, how does it allow him to do his job? I said, so write some bullet points down if something pops into your head. They were much more inclined to do that, which is less labor intensive than like multiple choice questions along the line. Because I think they struggle with that because of their ability with the phones in the hands. Like at the end of the school day, it's phones in the hand, AirPods are in, and we're walking out to the bus and we're walking home and we're flipping on TikTok and InstaFace and Chatbook and all those other things that they're on. I sound like an old person. Discord.
I don't know what that is. I've heard it mentioned.
Yes. You know what really grinds?
I'm like,
but you know what really grinds my gears?
There's there is. And so the idea of, how do you make it, how do you become more simplistic, simplify? Do you see your day-to-day? Do you have it, like, is that something that comes up? I haven't seen one phone.
I do. Listen, the way it was stated to us is that the phones are supposed to be in their lockers. They're not even supposed to be carried on them. There are students that I know carry them around. They have them in their sweatshirt pocket. I can see it. They have them in the pocket of their leggings. Like during hallway passing is when I see that. If you are my student, if you are on my roster of 100 students, and I see you, because I've been told to make sure that students have it in their locker. So if I see you when I'm teaching you or when I'm not teaching you, with the phone in the pocket or in the waistband of your pants, or in the pocket of your sweatshirt, I'm telling you to go put it away, because I am a soldier, not a general. I've been told what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's what I'm doing. I'm addressing the students that I teach. Now, if I don't teach you, I'm not getting into that argument. It's a larger argument for me. It's a sword I want to die on, that we all should be doing that, because I look like the a-hole when I'm the one that's forcing kids to do it and no one else is. I'm not saying no one else is, but when people aren't like,
well, I think you have to, I don't know. Maybe this will just speak a little bit to, a guest that we had talked to, but it also has to do with how your brain is wired, perhaps.
Oh yeah.
Of what you do see or don't see. I don't know if there's that we can lump everybody together and say that they're just not paying attention to it.
No, yeah.
There's probably like tons of adults who are just not even seeing it.
Well, and the other thing is, in my defense, also where I am in my building, I am not by lockers, or I'm in a different part of the hallway where I don't get a lot of the hallway mess, if you will, like kids stopping at the lockers.
And I love it.
I do enjoy not having to deal with that. So I only see a certain amount of kids that are passing in my general area. Yeah. But when they come to my classroom, that's my expectation. Doesn't matter when I see it or how I see it. It's being put back in your locker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're in the cafeteria and I see you, it's being put back in your locker. Yeah. If they take it out and they're playing with it or they're doing something with it, then it gets confiscated and it gets put away. It gets sent to the office.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at it more from the, if it's not out and you're not on it and you're not using it. Although I have to say, I'm not supposed to be on my phone either. And today I, full disclosure, had a sick child at home and had to say to the kids, I have to check my messages. Had to fall. Right.
Yeah. We recently got that about being on duty and not being on our phones. Yeah. But I said the other day, I said, guys, I put a call into my my daughter has to have a minor surgical procedure. And you know how it is when you call a doctor and you need them to call you back. When they call you back, that's your window. And they're busy. I got to pick up. I said, if they call, I'm going to pick up the phone. Just say, hey, hold on a minute. I'll pop out in the hallway. I'll have another teacher come in. I said, so I got my phone on today. It's on my desk. So if it goes off, I got to take the call. It's one of those parenting things. And nobody. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the kids aren't going to say to you like, "Oh,
Yeah,
what are you doing?"
why are you doing that? And I can't. I'm like, well, do you have kids? No? Okay.
Right,
Well, be quiet.
right.
Um, no,
I got
honestly.
an email from the school nurse. I thought this was just like so beyond thoughtful. So my daughter had to come home sick, and I got an email from the school nurse, and it said, I'm sure that it's impossible for you to use the phone. I want you to know this is what's
Oh,
happening. This is what she,
that's
yeah.
nice.
And I was like, gosh, that's so nice. And it really was so terrific because then I was able to like email respond back to her, and then she emailed respond back to me, and it was like, see you in 10 minutes. It was like, I gotta go. But I just thought,
Yeah.
wow, that was really so thoughtful of her because it
I
is, we're in a sticky spot. But I get what you're saying. So you're making the distinction between not on it, but on you can see it. And I get
because
that.
of what we've been told by
A hundred
our
percent.
administrator.
A
Like that,
hundred percent.
that's what the rule is.
100%.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So
and
the
I've actually
cost.
used a line from you where you've said like, I like a good work environment, right?
That's
I
right.
don't exactly remember exactly what you said. Like, I like a good work environment. This work environment is provided for me, and like
That's right.
because I want to have that good work environment, like I often we talk about law with our students all the time, even
Right.
though it's a history class. Like, you can't be like, stop signs. I don't like stop signs. Stop signs are stupid. I don't want a red sign telling me what to do and where to go. Because if you do that, that causes disorder in society. I realize it's a phone. Like, I realize that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes we have to do things that we might not necessarily support or see the purpose of for quote unquote greater good.
Right. Well, I mean, it's part of what's, the basics of being part of a civilized society.
Yeah.
So if the rule is this is what you're doing,
Hmm.
then this is what you're doing. The difficulty, I suppose, with, like being in a vehicle and running a red, running a stop sign,
Yes.
it's a lot more difficult to police, the small device that they're hiding on their person on purpose, because a lot of them are really good at hiding it. So that definitely gets in,
Yeah.
into a gray area. I think that it really should be, enforced as much as possible. And I get it. Like I do think that this situation becomes sticky because there's going to be so many parents who are not going to want them to. A lot of parents will defend having them have the phones.
I just don't know. I get it.
And
I
what
just
was the
don't
one of the
understand the
no.
logic behind that.
And
Like,
now they can't really
I
they
do, but I
can't
don't.
fight they can't fight it now. One of the parents, on that post that you had mentioned earlier, who works in the district and is a parent, here as well, brought up a really, really, really great point, because one parent had said, "I want my child to have their cell phone. It's a safety issue." And the mom said, who happens to work in the district, her response back was, "Well, in our school district, they just installed new phones in every single classroom, and
Bingo.
every single classroom phone can now dial out 911." I thought, geez, there's no better, right? Like, shut it down.
And
There's
that's a state mandate. I think the reason we got those new phones was because I don't want to use the word mandate, but there was some kind of
right,
legislation or law that was put out there that we have to do it. So like,
right.
but are we like like trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube? Like, is
No,
that what we're doing right now? Like,
no. And I think it's a very age level specific problem. I mean, maybe I'm, misinformed, but I would say, average child gets a phone, at 10, 11 years old. However, it did say like kindergarten through 12th grade. And I know you said like, what kindergartner? This is what I will say. I know that in, certain more affluent areas, and I do know this from, my sister's kids, they had, a very like ride your bike to school, sort of town. And so, the kids would ride their bikes in like first grade. You'd ride your bike to school. They could leave for lunch, all that kind of stuff, right? So they had watches. I don't even know if something has replaced this, but they had these like specific watches that
I
were
remember,
designed
yeah.
right, and they could call. You could get like three different numbers. You could call three numbers. It was a very small like, community of people that could get you on your watch. But I'm just wondering, like with smartwatches and, not just the AirPods, but the smartwatches, and then those types of phone devices. And then even, there's been some things I've been seeing about
Glasses, yeah.
the glasses, right? So, you
Which you
have
can't
to.
legislate because they can be prescription, and you can't tell somebody they can't wear prescription lenses.
Ooh. So it is
Literally.
sort of like it's widening the
Yeah.
but that's what happens, right? Is that like give an inch, take a mile, give an inch, take a mile. So it
Well,
really,
the practical
yeah.
reasons for things like not having the kids carry their phones around. Number one, if they're all one-to-one and they're on district devices, most districts have Go Guardian or some kind of quote unquote monitoring software that's on the computer, that both works inside during the school day and outside of the school day.
Right.
Let me just make sure I preface that by saying things like, Go Guardian do not allow you to look at a student's computer outside of the time that you have them in school. However, if a student decides on their school device to search for things like suicide, shooting, violence, pornography, stuff like that on their school device, the administrators in those buildings do get an alert that says they've viewed this content, they've searched for this thing, or Go Guardian monitors that on their end, where they could, send authorities to a house. Like that's a whole separate thing when we say like it's monitored. Like it's like I tell them all the time, like I can't look at your camera. Even if you're on a personal device on your Google account that's run by the school, we can't see what you're doing.
Okay.
Because that's Go Guardian going, that's not a school device, that's a personal device. Anyway, but like if they're using their phone to turn on a hotspot, so this way they could use their Chromebook and go on a hotspot so they're not on the district Wi-Fi so they can't be monitored. That's one thing. If they're taking something like a test review and they're reading it into a voice note and then listening to it in their AirPods and like, I'm just listening to music, but they're on their personal device listening to the answers of a test, because these are all things that have been seen. Like, I'm not saying this is in all cases, but like, what's the biggest thing that kids want to know when they're on their Chromebooks and they're going to be working on something independently? What is the first question that they ask?
Can I listen to music?
Can I listen to music? And I always tell them, I have 2 rules for you. Okay. Please get a feel for the assignment before you do anything. Take 5 minutes just to read the directions, go through everything. Number 2, if I'm asking you to do something and there's a video, I can't stop you doing this, right? You have to police yourselves. You have to pause your music. You have to watch the video, not read the captions, watch and listen to the video, because the things that I've picked for them are curated. Like, I have this specific part that I think you're going to learn something from.
Yes.
And then I said, then go back to your music. I said, that shows digital responsibility, right? I should be expecting you to do that. You also should be, watching what music you're listening to. Because if you're listening things with objectionable terms or objectionable images, don't be surprised if you don't get a call from the office to be seen because you're viewing objectionable material. So please watch what you're listening to. Right. A lot of kids, like I have like one girl, like all she does is listen to Hamilton. That's all she does is listen to Hamilton, or like show tunes or something else.
I want to be her best friend.
Yeah. I mean, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with, but like, when it comes to listening to it on their personal device, they're already on their devices enough.
Yes.
How much more do they need to be on it? Okay.
That is the question. That is the question.
I wanted to find the graphic. Maybe this will be for another episode, but there was there's a graphic in a TED talk that I looked at, and the gentleman basically put like every month is represented by a dot, and it's like 9 years of your life is what you have left after sleeping and driving and going to school and working. You have 9 years left. And of those 9 years, like 8 of them, it's projected if you live to a life expectancy of 90 years old, which is possible due to today's medical advances, that you'll spend 8 of those 9 years looking at a screen. Not for school, not for work, outside of those 2 activities. We're not even measuring screen time on a computer for school or for work. What could you accomplish and master if you had 8 years? You have 8 years to study, read, introspectively do something. You could be an expert, and I'd be a hell of a lot better golfer. That I could.
I mean, and of course, we say this as we are encouraging you to listen to our podcast, not discouraging you.
No, I mean, I'm not saying we should all like throw our phones in the ocean and go live in an apple tree in Oregon. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
So
A
it's
healthy
just
balance.
it's a healthy balance.
That's what
but,
we're
like,
all about here at the
I'd be
Balancing Act.
I reached out to the board member who actually made that comment. It was like,
Yeah.
I would love to be involved in that conversation because, and you too, I think would be important. But like having dove into ed tech and been part of the one-to-one, everyone's got to be one-to-one, but one-to-one, but then seeing some of the effects of that, I think I've kind of like backed off the gas a little bit, and I can look at it through a vein of like, yeah, there's certain things technology-wise that are good, but we are doing our kids a disservice if we're not limiting their amount of access to certain things that they shouldn't have access to.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
So the conversation continues. It just keeps going on and on.
yes, it does. I'm so excited to hear about how the mug of love goes. I really want to hear that.
I hope we can just pour from it and enjoy.
Pour from the mug of love. Can I borrow a feeling? What is that? Is that The Simpsons? I don't know why that just popped into my head.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to Google that.
I
can't because I'm off my device for the rest.
Yeah, you're off your device for the rest of the day. So as always, buddy, I appreciate you.
As always, I appreciate you. And
Yeah.
of course, we appreciate all of you listeners, and we appreciate our new platform, Human Content, for all of their help and advice in these first couple of weeks as we have been exploring our new, just so many new spaces, so many spots to receive us, right?
Yeah, we are sponges. That's what we are. We're trying to soak it all in. So, and it's a good learning curve for us. And also a good lesson. We go back to value, my word of the year. That this is adding value to our show because it's going to increase our listenership and allow us to help more people, which is ultimately what our goal is. So,
absolutely.
That and to do Joe Rogan numbers. Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you all next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.